Hi folks, this is a short video just to try and help people make a school complaint. Um, it seems a lot of people will talk about issues they're having at school. Sometimes even whole groups will get created on social media and things like that about an issue that they're facing at school. But only a very small number of people actually go through the complaints process. And it's unfortunate, really, because that is how to engage with schools. Some schools will engage, some less so. You'll have to basically go down the process and enforce them basically responding to you. But a lot of schools will just respond to you. So it seems a shame to me that we don't actually make use of complaints policies and these procedures. And I'm here to try and address that. So let's see how we go. Okay, so if we start with the basics, first of all, know what the problem is. Is it the uniform? Is it a particular teacher? Is it bullying? Is it special needs for your child? Okay, know exactly what it is and try to identify it. Sometimes just writing the problem down will help. Because sometimes a lot of issues at school become very emotional, and emotional tends to override logic a lot. Okay, so if you can just stick to facts, know what the problem is, and know what you want to happen to resolve it, that will go a long way to actually getting something done. Okay, so maybe, as I say, just write these things down and know what you want to happen. The other thing that's really important is to keep a diary of events. You really need to have all the facts at your disposal and ideally evidence of those facts. Okay, so if your child comes home with a horrendous bruise on the side of their face, and they said that a kid punched them, and the school's done nothing about it, then take a photo. Okay, take a photo of the injury. Um, Note down when it happened. Ask who did it. Everything. Get all the facts down. And the trouble with a lot of things in schools is they can take place over long periods of time. They don't all happen in 1, 2, 3 days. They can happen over long, especially things like bullying or special needs. They can go on for years. So you need to keep a diary of events, because a diary of events that stretches back over 6 months, a year, 2 years can be very powerful. Okay, so the first steps are is just to try to resolve it informally. Make a phone call. Okay, try to talk to a teacher, something like that. And again, you need to diary what you've done and when you did it. Okay, but do try to resolve it informally. Don't just leap in there and phone your solicitor or write a letter or anything like that. Try to resolve it informally first of all, and look at the complaints policy. Typically the first step in a complaints policy is to try and resolve it formally, so usually you'll be following the complaints policy there, but you need to follow the complaints policy. Schools are sadly within their rights to pretty much ignore you if you don't follow the complaints policy, which is unfortunate, but that is the way it is, which is why I've produced this video. I really want people to just go to the school website, find the complaints policy. If you can't find it, phone them up. Okay, but a Google search, your school's name, complaints policy, typically should bring it up. If not, then there's maybe issues. But read through it, download it, so you've got a copy of what it was at when you started using it, and go through it step by step. It should also have time scales on there. 20 days, for example, 20 school days to respond to this, 20 school days to respond to that, etc. Okay, if you haven't been able to resolve it informally by talking to people, then write a complaint letter. Okay, typically this will be in line with their complaints policy, or it should be. Okay. Now, writing a complaint letter can be daunting for a lot of people. Luckily, there are templates around. Templates have like a box that says, what's your name? What's your address, phone number, what's the nature of the complaint, what would you like done about it, etc. I'm going to provide a link underneath to one that I'm aware of that's a complaints policy, but it's also got a template near the bottom you can print off. If you're going to write a letter, if you're quite comfortable writing a letter, if you're a solicitor, for example, well, hey, knock yourself out, write a letter. You don't need a template. You can put, but make sure in the letter you put, I am making an official complaint. Okay, else again, some schools will find a way of making it not a complaint because it goes on their statistics. They need to have a complaints log, things like that for Ofsted. So they will, if they can, They will forget that this is an actual complaint and think it's just a letter addressing a concern. Okay. If you're going to send a written letter, make a copy for yourself. So if it's handwritten, for example, take a photo of it on your phone and store that away so you can produce it at a later date. So for your own sake, know what you've written, but also so that if someone questions what you wrote, you can say, well, it's here. And also make sure if you're sending something physical, emails obviously are tracked anyway, but if you're sending something physical by post, send it by recorded delivery or send it by special delivery. Okay, if you're not sure what those are, just ask you at the post office when you go in. Just go in, say I want to send this by recorded delivery. Typically it's a code. You get given a code on the receipt. You go to the Royal Mail website, you put the code in, and it tells you where your letter is, whether it's delivered, whether it's still at the post office, whatever. And it'll say, once it is delivered, it'll tell you the date, it'll tell you the time, and it will show you the signature as well, everything. Okay, so you've got a full record of when it was delivered, the whole lot. Staple it or put it with your diary. Okay, so you know when it was sent. This is just a typical template. It's the start of one. Here it says send to the complaints governor, but it will depend on your school. Okay, so this might not be the case. This is just to show you typically what a complaint form can look like. Just your name, pupil's name, your relationship, blah blah blah, and give the details of your complaint. It will go on for a few pages of different bits and pieces, and it's really helpful because it helps you focus on what you should be in there. I mean, it might, if you're just doing sort of like a handwritten note, it might be really easy to forget to put your address in there, or salient details. So even if you are writing a letter, it might be worth going through a template just to remind yourself of, well, actually this ought to be in there or that ought to be in there. And if you're ignored, unfortunately this does happen, escalate. Okay, write to the Board of Governors. Okay, beyond that you might want to write to your MP, say this school's ignoring me, but follow the complaints policy. I'll keep saying this, but keep following that complaints policy. Okay. If you will need to typically write to the Board of Governors, they will then consider your complaint regarding the school, because they should be governing the school, what it does and how it does it. Beyond that, if this is a whole school problem, the governors, the whole lot, then you may need to go really high, and that's the Education and Skills Funding Agency. They are the people who give money to the school, so they will definitely be interested. Okay, there are certain it could be Ofsted as well, but that's kind of outside of the remit of this video. I'm afraid I can only go so far. It would take another several videos to go into that kind of detail, but this potentially is quite daunting, but luckily you can get help from local charities. We're here in Nottinghamshire, and there's Ask Nottingham charity. They will take you through a school complaint all the way through for free. They'll help you write it, the whole lot. They'll take you through a DDA tribunal if you need it, which is a disability tribunal. If your child's got special needs and and the school's ignoring them, they will help you to stop discrimination. Okay, so you may need to escalate, and this is when you will need to Google around. You may need to get help from other people. Okay, but there are avenues to take. Don't just stop. Okay, keep going. And that's essentially it. These are just the common mistakes of what happens, basically. The number one thing that notice is people don't follow the complaints procedure. Typically, they don't get to step one. They don't even make one. But if you follow that complaints procedure, as if you were at work and being told to do it by a boss, just follow it. Yeah. Keep a record of what you're doing. Note down what you did, when you did it, and just follow it through. And just escalate and escalate. Okay. Not pursuing a complaint. That's the biggest issue, I think, with a lot of things. People run out of energy. A school that just sort of isn't interested in your complaint and isn't interested in changing will just leave it up to you to pursue them. And none of us have got infinite energy. We've all got very busy lives. We've got other issues as well as the school, and hey, we've got children. So that in itself, it takes up a lot of our time. It might be running on 4 or 5 hours sleep, and pursuing a complaint might be the last thing on your mind. Okay, but if you want to, it's that it does take some doing. It can take some pursuing. Okay, feeling afraid to complain. Okay, a lot of people seem to think that maybe their child will face discrimination because you've complained, or you're going to be made to feel stupid. Well, number one, the most likely outcome of you complaining about something that's happened to your child or something happening in school is that they will pay more attention to you and pay more attention and be more understanding. Yeah. If see people don't complain, then the school will think that what they're doing is absolutely fine and okay, and there's no problems. Okay, they'll typically go, well, we have not received any complaints about it. Yeah. If 200 people are complaining on social media about the uniform and no one's sending a complaint, the school will do nothing. Okay. Don't be afraid to complain. Everybody talk to each other. Yeah. If it's a big issue, talk to each other. Don't feel afraid to complain. It won't adversely affect you. It shouldn't do. Okay. Not knowing what to do. That's the other thing that I hope this video has addressed. I'm hoping that you've got a bit better idea now, or you feel that you might be able to, download the complaints procedure, phone the school and get a letter going, something like that. And if it's something that's affecting a lot of people, then this can help. 50 people sending in templated complaints will spur action. It will make things happen. So good luck. I feel complaining is empowering. If it's done for the right reasons and it's done with focus on change and not just venting, then I feel that complaining can be very empowering. Schools should be engaging with you, but by the same stroke, we should be engaging with the schools. It's a two-way process. Okay, they are a community service. So good luck, and I hope this video has helped. Take it easy.